the show. Luke, it's taken us a few weeks to do this, but good to have you on the show, man. How are you?
Yeah, good mate. How are you?
I'm doing well. I know it is an ungodly hour for you down there, so glad to have you on.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's like 11 o'clock. The worst part is it's just freezing, which
Oh, oh.
which you just don't expect when people talk about Australia, right? It's like
Right. They don't.
everyone, everyone pictures like sunny beaches and stuff like that. They're not thinking, damn, it's winter and 4 degrees.
Haven't seen that on the postcard. On the commercials, they don't show. they, don't, they don't show that part of Australia. Look, I I follow you obviously, and I see your stuff, and you are one of those voices out in this whole CX space. So I wanna ask you, how did you get started in this? Did you show up to career day with a headset and a spreadsheet when you were a kid?
Nope. Pretty much like
Okay.
everyone else, right? Yeah. That said, I reckon I keep encouraging my kids, like who are getting to that age or at university. I'm like, you should do this. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good money. But nah, look, I was a pastry chef, and
Pastry chef, huh? Okay.
uh,
That is quite the turn. Tell us a little more about that.
well, you know, you're working late nights and 6 days a week with Tuesdays off, and so your mates become pretty scarce. And you know, any sort of girlfriend is just non-existent. So
Exactly.
I was like, I'm after 5 years, I was like, I'm out. I'd like do my best years, and I'm sitting in a bakery, inhaling flour at 2 a.m. It's like I'm out. I'm out. And yeah, so yeah, a few things happened in between, but I moved to Melbourne from Sydney, and I was like, I'll just take this stepping stone job in a contact center, and
Right.
yeah,
You
20
never
years
left.
later, here I am.
That's same here. We all have these similar stories. Um, I do want to talk to you about CX, or customer experience, if you will.
Mhm.
And I'm starting to lose the plot a little bit on what it actually means. Um, and so I guess I would ask you, and I want to warn you that the average American reads at a below fifth grade level. So I want you to explain what CX actually means.
Look, for me, it's evolved too, and I think I've gone through the highs and lows and disillusionment of it all. But look, I think it has evolved over time. That initial spark of like we're going to create the Disney-like experience for everybody, and it's all rainbows. Through to deciding that it's just about caring for people and providing genuine care, and then of late, it's kind of gone to this point of like, hang on,
Mm,
it's just like a couple of things. CX is hard,
it
and it's
is.
always going to be hard.
Yeah.
And I think if we think it's going to be anything else, we're kidding ourselves. CX is hard because we're trying to meet people's needs, and meeting people's needs is not easy. So yeah, and so it's got to this point.
Especially emotional, right? There's an emotional
Yeah.
part of it, right? It's not just I bought the thing and you gave me the thing or the service.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to meet.
Mm-hmm.
I felt some way, right? It's a difficult job, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's always going to be hard, and then so you know if we wind it back to what are the basics, I think the basics are that people want what they were promised.
Mm,
People want good service. If they have to call or speak to you or connect with you, it's because something's usually failed. So let's make that as easy as possible. And so I think if we can get back to basics, and look, the other thing about customer experience, and I think as a industry, it really and a vertical, it hasn't really been around that long. It's
no, no,
maybe 15
right.
years if we're lucky. Like I think
Yeah,
when the first like CX role actually came in, uh, that's how long it is. And so when you think about it in that way, we're just pimple faced teenagers, right? And so we've been making mistakes and we're learning, and there's still a maturity to come. So I'm hopeful for the CX practice for sure.
yeah. One theme I have picked up from your content and what you put out there is, you talk about the employee experience almost as much as you do the customer experience. Is this all a passive aggressive shot at a past employer? Like, why why are you obsessed at the employee part of the experience?
Yeah, mate. Look, it's is it? Yeah, you're right. And that's a very Sigmund Freud question, right? Like, it's like lay back on the couch, tell me about your parents, tell me about the traumatized child inside you. But no, look, is it? I don't know. I think about this a little bit. It's not my intent. That's for sure.
Right.
That's for sure. And it's definitely not a shot at my current employer because I am doing my dream job. Like it's
Awesome.
like all the things that you want in your life and all
Yeah,
the things that you want
that's beautiful.
that you're good at, that you enjoy doing, and you can get paid for. Like ticking all those boxes right now. So that's great. But look, yeah, like anyone, I've had awesome employers and I've had absolute nightmare employers. And, I think it's trying to bring those together and go, you know what, like how do we make sure that people are doing the employers are doing the right thing? And, I've led thousands of people in my career. That's the cool thing about running contact centers is they're big and you have to, manage lots and lots of people. And, you're learning pretty quick how people are engaged and how diverse people are. And therefore, I think that passion sparked in me that, if you look after people and you find their strengths and you play to those and you bring those in and you accept diversity and that not all people are the same or are going to behave the same, you can create some pretty awesome stuff. So that's why I love the employee engagement side of things. Definitely not
Yeah.
the HR aspect. Like I find HR is like the handbrake on happiness, and it's all just like rules to try and keep you out of trouble. I'm talking about
Nice.
like those deep intrinsic kind of things with employee engagement. That's what I love.
I love that. I'm sure my HR listeners, this is your new tagline. You're the handbrake to happiness. But
I'm
no,
sorry.
I love that. Look, let me give you a softball here.
Uh-huh.
Um, what is a purchase under $50 that has been the most impactful to you? And I will start to give you time because I didn't warn you about this one. I would start to give you some time to think about it. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with seasonal allergies.
Okay.
So there's this thing called neti pot, and it's exactly what it is. It's like a teapot. You put water and saline into it, and then you sort of waterboard yourself. You put the water in one
Oh.
nostril. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like it's now there's a lady on the box. She's doing it so elegantly. The water is just flowing in. I am a mess. Like I am there's just water down my shirt. But when things get really, really bad, it's about 20 bucks or so. When things get
Uh-huh.
really, really bad with seasonal allergies, that's one of the best purchases of my life that's made an impact to me. What will be yours?
Uh, I think it's probably the pen and paper that I use.
Okay.
Uh, and I buy this paper like stone paper. Heard of stone
Stone
paper?
paper. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it's like super super smooth,
Huh.
um, really soft, and then just got this awesome pen to write with. And for me, that's one of those things because you spend so much time in front of a screen,
Yeah.
and you can end up with like I don't know about you. By the end of the day, I've got like 60 windows open, and that's my
Me too.
task list. And
Yeah.
uh, my brain is just all over the place. And to be able to just pull away, just get back and be tactile and write and just put one single thought down on paper and then work that in, work on that. I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good purchase. I think.
I agree. I'm a pen and paper guy as well, especially when I weekends I try to stay off the computer at all and schedule all my stuff so that I can get back to that. Um I want to I want to go back to CX for a second and talk about when I talk to CFOs and the C-suite and CEOs, I get the sense that they are in principle in agreement that we should be good to customers, but they're a little bit suspicious of this whole CX thing, and some of
Mhm.
them would be quite aggressive about it. So I would say to you, let me make a provocative statement to you. I think the CFO thinks most of CX is BS. What has been your experience?
Yeah, I think it's just wildly misunderstood, right? And so, and like I was saying before, I think we have our own perception of what CX is, and it might be that we've had that really awesome moment, and it's like, hey, we need to have these moments. We need to be like this other company and create this space, which and so then that gets kind of driven into to what it's about. I think you're right. I think most CFOs agree that we should do it, but I think it's widely misunderstood. And I do this series with Michael Matson called 2020ish, and we get 20 CX
Love it.
leaders to
Yeah.
yeah. And the first question we ask each season is, what is CX2 in 5 words? And you wouldn't think that it would be that wildly different, but everyone has a different answer. And these are CX
Interesting.
professionals, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
So what is it? What is CX to me? I think it's insights, a combination of insights, innovation, empathy, and ease, and bringing those things together. And emotion. So there's that's 5 things: insight, innovation, ease, empathy, and
Emotion.
emotion. Good. Yeah. So look, I think that sort of sums it up. And I think if you then work within that framework, there's value in it. People can see value in it. I think the rhetoric around CX being broken. There's a lot of that at the moment. You hear a lot of that. And look, I'll go back to what I said before. We're just still getting started. It's so young. We just got to be patient with ourselves and just
Go to the
we
growing
don't need to.
pains.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
we've got a seat at the table. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a great start. I think a lot of people are maybe over some of the CX awards and the stuff that the self hype that happens with it, and they're
Yeah.
nice. I think we've got to take them for what they are. I think we have to celebrate those moments. And if you're awarded, you celebrate that. If you see somebody else get awarded, celebrate that. Let's get around each other and support each other. Let's not get cranky at each other that someone else got it. Whatever. Like it's we're not saving lives here. So let's just enjoy it and get around each other.
I'd love your thoughts on. There's also another school of thought that says you're chasing a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Like customers are these promiscuous, never satisfied, right? Their expectations are always to the roof.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? I'll be curious because I have a perspective on it. How do you think about this whole customers are expectations are always to the roof? We're never going to be able to meet them.
I think there's I have 3 things on this.
Yeah.
The first one is that so often we forget to bring the customer into any of these decisions. And so, yeah, they are a ghost because they were never there to start with
Right.
to be part of the process. But I've got 2 other things that I've been doing a bit of research on lately, and it comes off the back of going around Australia and talking about absenteeism and attrition in this report that we helped create. And sort of the big question I kept getting what it kept coming back to is, well, why are customers are so angry and aggressive? How do we help our employees? And people were also then talking about how customer expectations are through the roof. They're always growing and we can never keep up. And I was like, I think we're blending these 2 challenges together or concepts. I think we're mixing this idea that just because customers are more aggressive and more angry, and there's heaps of studies on that over the last couple of years that customer aggression is getting much higher. And there's a few reasons for that. One is, the democratization of complaining through the fact of social media. And back in the day where you'd be able to pause and you'd write a letter and you'd be like, "Dear Mr. Company, if that's your real name, where do you get off?" And then realize that, what, the rest of this letter probably is, I've calmed down now. I can wait till tomorrow to get my package. We don't have that with social media. That immediate anger is there, and you're just like, rage, 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 and you haven't had time to breathe. And so this democratization of complaining has kind of taken place. But I also wonder why that has happened. So I've started being I've had this idea and this concept which I've been sort of fleshing out and getting a bit more data on. And when people, going back to what I said, what do people want? People want to get what they paid for. They want to be connected to somebody when something goes
Right.
wrong and they want it fixed. And when we don't do that, people feel disrespected.
Uh,
Ultimately, as humans, we just want to be respected. We want respect
right.
from each other, and when we don't do that, we create these moments where people are feeling distant and disconnected and disrespected, then the frustration builds. And so one of the things that I believe is a key driver of this is that we're introducing all of these channels and we're pushing people to, we're deflecting, such a horrible word, but we're
Uh,
deflecting customers to the channels that as a company we have decided to implement, or we contain them in IVRs because we want to make sure, and we these horrible words and these ways of basically preventing someone from speaking to a human. And what happens is when you start to feel like, well, I'm not valued, I'm disrespected, you don't value my time, you don't value my voice. And what started out as a minor frustration becomes more and more of a frustration because you've got to wait longer. And organizations are like, well, we're just going to push this to chatbots and AI. And look, the research continues to say that people, when things are complex, they want to speak to a human.
yeah.
And so the more we prevent that and the more that we stop that, the more frustration we cause. And then that frustration boils over into anger and even worse, abuse and threats. And, here's the other thing. We also take away all of these simple things, these simple transactions, and we're giving them to self-service and kiosks and bots. And the poor person at the end, the person who is at that end of the phone or on the other side of the counter, is just left with dealing with complexity
Right.
all the time,
Yeah.
100% of the time. And the cognitive and the emotional load that must have on somebody to
Hmm.
be dealing with all day, every day,
Yeah.
that's wearing them down.
Yeah.
And then to top it all off, we pay them nothing. We pay
Right.
them like terribly, and it's such a worthy job, and we should be paying people. And this research that was just done and showed that the number one reason people are leaving contact centers right now this year for the first time ever is money. Cost of living pressures is through the roof, and so that's driving people to be more, escalated emotions.
Right.
So I think this whole thing of like customers are angrier for sure, and there's a whole heap of reasons why they're angrier. But I also think some of those reasons are because organizations have inadvertently created that.
That deal.
And
Stay there for a second. Um, Stay on this whole employee deal. I hear CEO after CEO executive. Our service employees are our greatest assets. And you see all this, lip service to it. And yet, it's 2025, and most contact centers, reps still have to clock in to go to the bathroom. You monitor every second of their day. It's a unique job that is a white collar job, quote unquote, but it's not treated in that way. So what gives? What is this dichotomy? They're important, and yet you don't pay them, and you don't. What's going on there?
so this is my theory.
Yeah.
And even the word you just used then, like assets, they're assets. They're not assets. I'm not an asset for somebody. I'm not a piece of furniture or a stock that goes up. And we this is, look, we live in a capitalist society, and I'm not against capitalism. It does a lot. There's a lot of things that we can in our society that we can that we get benefit from being a capitalist society. But humans aren't assets, and we can't turn them into. We even call them human capital. Like, and what is capitalism? If I was to sum it up just really really quickly, is we find something that's valuable, and then we find ways to make it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper so that everybody can have it. And when we apply that to humans, it doesn't
Mm.
work. When
Uh,
we apply that to a human and say, we need to create you, turn you into an asset that does the same thing over and over again, and we need to pay you less and treat you worse, who's signing up for that? Absolutely no one. So there is a rethinking of how we apply this to uh, how people sit in our organizations. And one of the things I've been talking about a lot lately is, if like, I'm all for AI. If
yeah.
it can take away some of the tasks, if we've built roles around just tasks, then those roles probably deserve to go. But let's build roles around the big, hairy, audacious goal that an organization has and wants to achieve. And if those tasks that are getting removed from our roles are freeing up time, we either do two things with that time. We either give that time back to somebody so that they can spend more time with the people they love, doing the things that drive them and give them passion and make them want to come to work and be their best self, or we get them focused on achieving what the company's big purpose and mission is.
Yeah.
So if we're not going to reduce their hours, let's give them purposeful work. So yeah, I think we're in a really interesting time right now with that stuff.
I am. I. This is why we've been trying to do this for so many weeks. I am on with Luke, who I'm just getting to know. And ironically, how we got in touch was in this community of
Mhm.
people who are focused around CX and contact center and all of those things. And it actually happened at a time when, for years, I was sort of jaded by the community. I didn't really lean in because I felt there was a lot of nonsense, to be frank. And my view is starting to change. But there's one area I'd love to get your perspective on, which is these conferences.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to be constructive here, but outside of software vendors selling their wares, or other things being sold, I'm starting to get really jaded on conferences. And maybe it's just here in the States, but what has been
No,
your
it's
experience?
it's not. It's
Okay.
everywhere. Like, I was in the States earlier this year, and went to a conference. The challenge I have is that they've become they've just become so commercialized,
Right.
and the people who are running it are there to make money. And the best way to make that money is to get software vendors to sponsor them. And so what does that do? So I come from, as I mentioned, I've been in contact centers like 20 years. I've been the practitioner. I worked really hard on being able to be a good public speaker, and I tried really hard to be good at that. Was on the speaking circuit a lot when I was a practitioner, and then I moved to consulting, and then now in startups, particularly in software. And people don't want to have a bar of it. They won't let you in the door if you are working for an organization, because they want you, an organization that sells software to the industry you're trying to talk to. And so what ends up happening is you go to these conferences and it's either software vendors uh, giving
Who are paid?
thin,
Who pay?
yeah,
Right.
who paid a lot of money, right? Like, you can't even attend these events if you work for a vendor if you're not a sponsor. And
Right.
if you do, you're paying through the roof. Like, you're paying 4 or 5 times what somebody who is a practitioner can go to and just be there.
Right.
So you can't even get value for the same price. Like, there's no equity in that at all. And so then what ends up happening is you end up getting these vendors who have paid a lot of money going, well, we need to make money back. We need to get return on investment. And so their thought leadership is just a
Right.
thinly veiled sales pitch. Or you get the opposite end of it, which is you get practitioners who, the people who are organizing the conference bring in because they've got a story to tell, but they're not great on stage.
That's right.
They're not that engaging. They're trying
Right.
to tell a story, but they're nervous and awkward, making the audience nervous and awkward, and the whole experience is weird. Or you fill a panel with this, like, absolute just dreary droll of rubbish, and so you lose the value. I think I, I would love to see the anti-conference, where Yeah,
I love that.
where you get the best speakers to come and speak. You have vendors there who you say, you know what, if you want to learn about their product, they're going to pitch and they're going to be pitching all day in this area, and you give them a whole room to pitch. And if people, because pitching, I actually don't mind it either. I don't mind a vendor pitching because I think it's a quite a safe space for
It
pitching.
is. Yeah.
If you go to a conference with the pure intent that actually I want to go and see what that vendor does without them getting my email address and then following me up 50 times, conference is a great spot for it, right? So I'd love to have this anti-conference where it is like there's equity. Everyone pays the same. We're not gonna. It's not. I don't need the big flashy expo hall where I'm getting just my 400th drink bottle to bring home. I I just want to go and hear some great thought leadership. I do want to hear about products and what's happening in the market and what the trends are. If that comes from a vendor, great. If it comes from a really great speaker, great. If there's a practitioner, then let's use those moments. If they're a terrible speaker but a great practitioner, let's get an awesome speaker to pair with them and create a great experience for the whole audience. I think there's a way to fix it. I think we've just got to, some of the vendors, almost all the vendors need to get together and be like, screw this, man. We're doing our own thing and we're going to self-sponsor it. And
Right.
you do see that a little bit. Some of these really big vendors are doing that, but
Right.
then they're just then taking the same approach. If you're not their partner, you can't speak. If you're so,
I
yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. And the point about the other extreme, there's a guy who's claiming thought leadership and he's really just selling me his stuff. And then there's someone who maybe has a good story. But you know what? By the way, you know, I think what you're saying is, Joe, who is running a contact center in the middle of nowhere, who just puts his head down and is delivering for his people and his company. No one's faulting you for not also being like Luke, who is a polished. There's no harm there. But like, why is someone setting you up in this environment? Like, we want that information that's in your head. How about,
Yeah.
to your point, let's pair that conversation and put you in a place where you can be successful. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
panel, but put you in that kind of place. And then the part about this also that I sort of struggle with is like, I think vendors, I know that your company is judging you based on how many emails and bad scans and all these vanity metrics.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise you, the best sales opportunity you would get would be someone who voluntarily, like the person knows well what is going on, walks up to your booth and is curious and he's saying, "Hey, listen, tell me about X, Y, and Z," and you, for once, please try this. Just be a blessing to that person for those 5 minutes. Just answer their question. Don't worry about the metrics that they're going to, because you're going to email me 50 times. I'm going to block you. That's what your metrics are
Yeah.
going to get you. But that
Mm-hmm.
person, and you just answer their question, blah, blah, blah. They will ask you for your contact information. Like they would say, "Can I?" And in a world of conversion, you're going to convert a lot more, I think,
Mm-hmm.
of that person than the
Yeah.
one where it's sort of this game and you force me into here and
Yeah.
we need to fix it because in the midst of all that, we still manage to connect with each other. Like in the midst of this shitty conference, I still manage to meet just terrific human beings, who are on the vendor side, who are practitioners, what have you. And I'm like, man, I wish I could skip the damn conference and figure out how just to hang out with you guys.
Bingo. Bingo.
and
And so that's what
but
ends up happening, right? For the most part, you end up going to these conferences without going. It's like, you know what?
right,
I'm just going to go and hang outside because I'm not paying for a ticket, and I'll just catch up with the people I want to catch up with, and they're going to bring someone along, and maybe we have a great conversation.
yeah,
So I think that there has to be some equity in this whole part of the industry. So it's
I
ripe for being shaken up.
I agree. All of a sudden, Luke was the hottest guy on on the circuit, and now because he changes employment, well, Luke, you're not as
Yeah.
smart as you were anymore.
Mate, it's no joke. Last year when I was out doing my own thing, I was lined up for 3 conferences. I then took this job because it was an amazing job, and they all went, "Nah, you can't speak." I was like, "All right,
You've
thanks."
gotten less smart.
Yeah.
I only have one more place to go. I want to give ourselves credit in that we've been having this conversation now for 30-ish plus minutes, and we have not dived into AI. So I want to give both of us a big round of applause for that. So that we've done that. Where I want to leave this conversation though is I want you to talk a little bit about maybe start first with what makes you a bit pessimistic as this movie goes on, and then perhaps end with what makes you optimistic.
Oh, mate, like I think probably like you, I think towards the end of last year, I got a little bit hurt by you know or from a social media perspective. Like I put myself out there, and
Yeah.
sometimes I look like an idiot, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay to have people cringe, and I'm okay to just be myself. And put out content. I'm okay to put out ideas that I don't have fully formed yet in order to get feedback on. I put out this idea last year around um, the value of trust and this concept of that we trust is now just a commodity. All we're doing is just trading it, right? And we trade our data and our firstborn children for to Google and TikTok and all of these places just so we can have this experience. And so I was like talking about what's the value of trust. The amount of people that absolutely berated me online for asking just dumb questions to try and get feedback. And also people then, and I've won a heap of these like CX awards. And I am grateful for them, because a lot of them you are nominated by other people. Someone's taken their time to say, this guy makes an impact. Mate, what a blessing. That's
Absolutely.
such great affirmation. But when people then get upset about it and then start attacking you personally about that, like I got really upset. And one thing that happened last year, earlier this year, I was asked to do a prediction for a news outlet, my CX prediction for 2025, and another CX professional got on and just went to town. Um, Personal attacks on not just on me but on everybody, and it started to just get me really upset. And that was like you. I was like, this industry's just wrecked. Like we can't even treat each other kindly, and that's our job. Our job as CX professionals is
Right.
to try and connect with people and fix people's problems, um, and we can't even do that to each other. And so I was like, I'm out. I think I'm just gonna just ditch social media and move to a farm, and I'm done. But uh, I got some really good advice, and I got a few, and I really just tried it when I started. I don't usually do New Year's resolutions, but one of them was this year is to just get greater control over my emotions and my
Wow.
mind, and that's what gives me optimism now. And so when somebody attacks me online about something that I've put out there, I just take a moment of gratitude and just go, thanks for giving me 15 minutes back in my life where I can now go and do the dishes, put some clothes on the line, write an article, anything that's productive that's not replying to you and wasting my
Yes.
breath. And for
Yes.
the most part, I've just started like just blocking people. It's like, if that's how you're going to be, that's cool, man. I just don't need you in my life. Uh, and that has just given me so much like, you just take control back of all of that. And so, in the last 6 months, I've just gone hell for leather and just put everything out there and not cared about the what feedback I'm going to get, whether it's negative or not. And overwhelmingly, it's just been positive, and I'm having fun, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and at the same time, I'm still learning, which is just that's such a blessing that I'm still learning. I put out an article, someone goes, you didn't think about this. You're like, I didn't think about that. That's awesome. Thanks for giving me that moment to now go and think about that. And that's my next article. Like, I'm optimistic for the future. I think we've got as I said, we're adolescents. We're just hitting those awesome years where we start to get into our 20s, and we've got a job now, and we've got a car and we can drive around. So, good times ahead, I think.
Look, man, that was beautiful. And I just want you to know personally, you've inspired me over the last several months in this way. I used to have so many things on the draft that I just didn't hit publish. So many. uh, and I've just let loose because I've watched people like you just be their genuine self. Like, there are people who know me in real life. The feedback I got that I thought that really hit me was, I am the goofiest, most unserious, most irreverent human being you would ever hang out with. I don't take anything seriously. I will make jokes at a funeral. Like, that's and then I felt like I had to have this persona out, because I am a serious guy. I've gotta deal. And then I started like watching, smart, capable, accomplished people like you who were a little freer in being their true selves to the world. And now, I'm doing memes like I would have like on LinkedIn. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just like, I put this thing out. It's silly. 90% of people probably hate it, but I don't care. I'm looking for the 5% of people, the one person who's like, hey, I connect with that. And by gosh, if that means the rest of it, just unfollow, just move on. Don't care.
Exactly, man. Oh man,
And so
I'm stoked that you think. I'm
I've
stoked
watched
that you
that.
feel that way, mate. I now feel like mission accomplished, because I was like, I'm just doing this, and if any, yeah, mate, I'm so happy about that. Your meme today was awesome, by the way. The get back to work for the culture and the guy. Let me tell you a quick story. And
Please, yeah.
this is one of those nightmare employers.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago. They were like, everyone needs to be in the office for this meeting. This one is an important one. And so the whole team rocks up. We're all in this meeting, and the manager, no joke, dialed in from his desk, which was 10 meters away. I saw that meme today and I was like, holy moly, it's real.
I just want honesty.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, look, we think you people are watching Netflix, or we just hate the fact that we can't see you, and it just makes us uncomfortable. That you guys may be doing God knows what. You're hanging out with Luke. You are on a serious podcast. You've got your dog in there. We don't like that. We want you.
You can't be working 11 p.m. at night. No.
No. I need to see you. I need you to suffer. I need you to get in your car, put on pants, damn it. Luke, put on some pants. Walk out. This is a job. It's not supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to be near your loved ones. Just say that. Then it's like
rock up,
culture.
That's when you rock up to work in PJs. Just be like, they're on, man. I got pants on. What are you going to do?
Well, Luke, this has been a lot more fun than I planned. Thank you so much for doing this. I can't wait to share this with the world, and I hope you come back to the show again. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's been awesome. Yeah. I was
this
at
has
a
been
conference.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thanks, mate. I was at a conference just last week, and at the end of it, I was like, "Yep, that's me. Thanks very much. Got to go." And I had 3 people come up to me at the end of it and be like, "You didn't say hooroo." So, mate, we've got to end the podcast on that. And until next time, and as always, hooroo. And if you want to know what it is, if you want to know what it means, it's a derivative of saying hooray. So we're celebrating the conversation we just had, and I think that's pretty appropriate. So, hooroo.
Hooroo, mate. We'll talk soon.
See ya.